Good morning. Welcome to Tips and Techniques Tuesday. I'm Nancy Dodge from YB Stamp, Independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And this morning I would like to give you some ideas on what to do with those scraps we've been saving. And I'm not talking about the perfectly square scraps. I'm talking about the ones that are like, I've cut a piece out. I will show you. Here are some basic scraps that I pulled out of my scrap pile. Most of the times I cut them off and then throw this away so that I can just use this perfectly square rectangle piece. But I've had a request for some ideas on how to use these odd pieces. So I'm going to put these aside. If I can grab them, some of them are pretty thin. All right. The first card I'm going to show you, I have this scrap. And I'm like, well, it's kind of off center, but you know what? I'll make do. I'll make do. So I said, well, what would go underneath that? I looked through my scrap DSP and I found this. And I said, ooh, I like that. And then I said, all right, well, I'm going to put it on this card base because I thought it really made the berry burst pop from that color. Then I said, well, I need something on the bottom. So I looked at the colors in here and I decided I liked the Fresh Freesia, but the flat looked funny. So I ran this through the metal plate 3D embossing folder to give it some texture. Then I said, well, I don't like the contrast in between here and here. So I decided to put my banner. Now this is actually a scrap also, because when I take a regular piece of white cardstock, I almost always use it for a cover or the inside of my card. So it all needs to be a little smaller. So they're 4 by 5 1/4. So what I do is I put this in my trimmer, put it at 4 and cut it. And then I put it at 5 1/4 and cut it. And I put it at 5 1/4 and cut it. And I end up with this 1/2 inch by 4 inch piece. And that is where I got this. So see, this is even a scrap. All right, I'm going to put this white stuff aside and start putting this together quickly. Now I have this for the inside, the piece that I just cut, and I had a little scrap of this from cutting the piece for there. So I'm going to put this right here on the inside. Whoops, sorry. I stamped a sentiment. Might help if I put it in the right place. All right, I'm going to start with the inside. Put this on. I'm a little over, so I'm going to take my snips and I turn it over just to make sure I have a more accurate cut, and just snip that little itty bitty piece off because it will annoy me. I don't know about you guys. I suppose I've heard it has something to do with what your zodiac sign is. So I'm a Virgo. So I guess little details like that make a difference to me. So there's the inside of our card. And then I'm going to start with the DSP. Put it on. Let's see. I hope I measured this correctly. I think I did. Then I'm going to put some seal. This is Stampin' Seal. It's double-sided sticky tape. And I really like it. It makes it easy to adhere. Okay. If I talk while I center this, I'll mess it up. There we go. It just makes it so much easier to adhere. Now this has some texture to it, so I'm going to use the Stampin' Seal Plus because it's a little stronger. You could also use glue. Uh-oh. Now I say that and it's not happy with me. Alright. So that stuff is really, really strong. And sometimes it doesn't cooperate and it eats the paper. Like this morning. Of course. Whoops. I'm gonna put this right underneath that. And then this, I'm going to use dimensionals. I have some right here. I'm just going to put 3 along here just to make it pop just a smidge, give it some dimension, aka dimensionals. For those of you that don't know what dimensionals are, I have, can you see how they pop up just a little bit? And they're 6-sided and they're sticky on both sides. I'm just going to stick this across here. Look at that. And then I've got some tinsel gems, and these are in some of the newer colors. And I'm just going to put a couple around just to add a little extra dimension because they're pretty. I'm going to put this on the flat spot to make sure it sticks. Alright, there's my first card with my scrap. Hey Carolyn! Yeah, that DSP is really pretty, isn't it? I really like it. It's from Masterfully Made. Alright, the next card is a little trickier. So I had this weird scrap and I thought, you know what, I'm going to challenge myself. So it originally started out a little bit on the more square side, and I just cut it out into this funky shape. I know it looks bizarre, but it'll be okay. So I'm going to stick everything aside, and I'm going to put Stampin' Seal on the back of this. And just to make sure I get it in the right spot, I'm going to put my silicone sheet underneath because it won't stick to it. Whereas it would stick to my work surface and cause me a few issues. Now, see there's a little glue sticking out. I just kind of tuck it under with my finger so that it doesn't stick to anything that it's not supposed to. And then I have a window sheet. And I'm just going to stick this to it. And then I'm going to take my snips. Now remember, I know these cards are odd, but that's because I'm using up those weird scraps that we all have and we can't bring ourselves to throw away. Just going to quick cut this out. It's hard to see. I suppose I could give myself some more light. Hold on, I'll do that. Alright. Have another light here. Maybe that'll help. Oh yeah, look at that. Alright, now I'm going to take the foam adhesive strips that I have, and I'm going to put this around here on the border all around. I have to put a little piece right there. Okay. Because, have you guessed what I'm doing? Yes. A shaker card. I need another piece. I love these strips. These are great. And you want to make sure there aren't any gaps. So see right there, there's a gap. So I need to make sure there's a little piece in there that fills in that gap. Otherwise, our stuff will escape. We don't want that. All right, I'm going to put that aside. Work on the rest of my card. So this was just a scrap piece of DSP I had lying around. Yes, Carolyn, shaker card. You're so smart. And I'm going to put this on the front of the card. There we go. This is for the inside and a scrap again. So I'm going to put this at the bottom. If I can get my Stampin' Seal to... Sometimes it's stretchy, so sometimes it goes back up in itself. Alright, I'm going to put this on the inside before I finish the front. There we go. Alright, now I have some silver glitter pieces. They're sequins. And I'm going to sprinkle some in here. Whoops. That's alright. That's what it's meant for, right? Alright, and then I'm going to pull off the outsides. It's sticking to my fingers. Ah. So Carolyn, did you get any more snow? Alright. Whoops, now they're sticking to my edges. I just want to make sure I want a good seal on the edge, so I want to make sure that those aren't stuck. I'm just going to pull them off with my snips. I could also do it with my tweezers, but my snips are right here, so snips it is. Oops, now I got some on the other side. Here. Don't shake it, man. Don't shake it. Alright, one more. This one's a toughie. This one really stuck. Oh, we got a white one right here. Okay. Oh, man. It's just not with me today, is it? Alright. I'm going to center this over the card. Hopefully it'll work. Press it down. There are a million ways you can do that, but so there's my shaker, and then I stamped Peace and Joy, and then this is just another of the extra scrap I had, so I thought I would do it on the front. I cut it at an angle because this Peace and Joy, whoops. Is kind of it's at a funky angle itself, so there we go. And then I just thought I would stick it here, or I could stick it up here. Maybe I'll stick it up there. I'll add a dimensional to one side and Stampin' Seal to the other because it's already raised. I forgot to peel off the back. Hold on. Silly me. Okay. And then we're just going to add some bling, more bling, like it's not blingy enough, right? There. So there's our second card. All right, the third card, I'm just doing 3, just a dusting. This is the scrap I have. What do you do with it? So I'm going to use some ink and my blender brush. Now I've pre-marked this because it was at a funny angle and I wanted to make sure I got it in the right spot. And I'm going to use a little bit of this labeling tape by Post-it. Put it down. Covered a little bit of this, as I don't want to get it on the edges. I want it to be plain. There we go. Okay. So I've got my yellow, my Daffodil Delight, and a blending brush that I've already used with yellows. And I just tap a little bit and I'm going to put it in here. So this is another great way to use some of the pretty die cuts that or the remainder from the pretty die cuts that you've done. And you can put it as heavy or as light as you like. I'm going to try to do it a little heavier on the outsides. More for contrast than anything else, but all right. I'm going to take that off. And I keep reusing these. I just took new stuff out because I wanted you to be able to see. But I do. I have a whole pile of them. Like others. There. Isn't that cool? And then what I thought I would do is take this stamp set and some Memento and stamp this one right in the middle. All right, ink it up. I need to re-ink the pad, but I think I have enough to do it. I'm just after the silhouette look anyway. Try to center it. Hold it down, cover my ink. Yeah, not cool. And then I have some black cardstock. Now this is 4 1/4 by 11, and I scored it at 5 1/2. So I'm going to put the inside in first. There we go. And let's see. Sometimes the most productive thing you can do is relax, is what I'm going to put on. But first, I need to use my Stampin' Scrub. This is already pre-wet. I use the Stampin' Mess, so you just clean it and dry it. And then put it back. I want to do You're in My Thoughts on the cover. So I'll get that out. And this for the inside. Stick that aside. I just covered my ink a little bit so that I wasn't putting my hand in it, which I do. I've been known to do. Alright, there's the inside. And then the outside, I just want to put it right across here. You're in my thoughts. Because we all know somebody that needs a little something nowadays. There you go. Now, if I screwed that up, I could easily just put a banner over it and be done with it. Because remember, there's alternatives to your mistakes. All right. Just going to pop that on. Very simple card. All right. So there's my 3 ideas on what to do with your scraps. So highlight it, make a shaker card, and use it as a mask. So I hope you got some ideas on what to use for your scrap pile, because I have 2 different scrap piles. One of them is weird shapes and they get stuck within each other, so they're in a big bin. Too big a bin if you ask me, so I need to do more of this. And then my flatter stuff I keep in drawers. I think I've showed you that before. It's just a plastic drawer. Whoops, transition. See, just a plastic drawer of scraps. So, anyway, I hope you learned something. Please join me again next Tuesday for more tips and techniques. Until then, thank you very much.